We all encounter situations where we don't see eye to eye with another person, and sometimes we may feel the need to stand up for ourselves, our values, and our goals. Other times, we may feel the urge to avoid confrontation or escape the situation altogether. But how do we decide when we need to fight or when we need to let go? How can we choose our battles wisely? In today's video, I'm going to share with you some of the benefits of picking your battles wisely, some of the common mistakes that prevent us from doing so, and some of the strategies that can help us make better decisions. Hi, if you don't know me, I am Barika from Simply Unique Coaching, and I have been leading for over 15 years. I've led way more than 18 teams. I've been leading way more than 15 years too. I just stopped counting at this point. But I am a leader. I like to say I'm the leader who learned in the trenches, and I am here to help with leadership tips and strategies, as well as professional development tips to help you be successful in the workplace. And in today's video, we're going to talk about how to choose your battles wisely. And this is one of the things I definitely actively practice. I do believe in it. And I do believe that mastering this skill set is going to help you have a much more enjoyable work experience when you're in the workplace and even in your personal life. And also at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you the one time that you definitely want to stand by your own personal convictions and when you should do that and when you need to not let something go, when you need to actually address it and say, hey, this is where I stand with this situation. Okay. So the first benefit of picking our battles wisely is it saves us time and energy. Whenever we pick our battles wisely, we can avoid wasting our time, wasting our energy on things that just are not absolutely important. And if they're not urgent, if they're not worth our time, then we don't want to spend time trying to conquer that mountain, so to speak. Also, choosing our battles wisely is going to help us avoid getting into unnecessary arguments, conflicts, and drama that can drain our emotional and mental batteries, right? And we don't want to do that. We don't want to waste time and energy on nonsense. I'm just going to call it what it is, on nonsense, okay? So we want to choose our battles wisely. The second benefit of picking our battles wisely is that it's going to help preserve relationships and reputation. So when we pick our battles wisely, it can help us to avoid damaging our relationship and our reputations with others. And we can also avoid hurting and offending people or alienating others who have different opinions, perspectives, or preferences. And when we choose our battles wisely, we also can maintain or enhance our relationships and our reputation with others by being respectful, by being courteous, by being cooperative when it is appropriate, because all cooperation is not good cooperation, especially when it comes to leadership. In leadership, we have to know that we are set apart. Please don't try to just be one of the crowd. Okay. I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna make it plain. If you're not a leader, please know this is not to offend you. This is something that I have to say to leaders. Okay. If you are a leader, you're not supposed to be one of the crowd. Now, can you get down and into the trenches with the crowd and help out with the work? Absolutely. There should be no work on your team that you feel is beneath you. You know what I mean? Like if somebody needs you to hop in to help, feel free to hop in and help. That's what you're there to do. You're supposed to lead by example, right? But at the same token, you are not one of the crowd, okay? You are supposed to have a certain level of respect that's given to you because you have earned that level of respect because you have the way that you carry yourself. Just think about it. And I know if you're not a leader, you may, hopefully you don't get offended. And if you do, this really isn't, honestly, this part isn't for you. The rest of the video can be for you, but this part isn't for you. It's actually for leaders, okay? Because think of it from this perspective. When you were in the schoolroom, right? When you were in class as elementary, middle school, high school, if your teacher behaved just like you did you respect them? Absolutely not. You're like, oh, I can do what I want to. I can go play cards in their class. I can talk to my best friend. I don't have to do work, so it's not because the leader is better than anybody in the group. The leader has a different responsibility, and their responsibility is to help that group get from one point to another point. Okay. And the way that we do that is by we're set apart. I'm just going to say it plain. We're set apart because we are in leadership. And one of the mistakes I see leaders make is that they try to earn the friendships of people by, just trying to get in the good graces of their team. And you want to have good relationships with your team members, but I'll have to link a video or something, but just know that it doesn't benefit you or your team for you to be seen as one of them. Because if you're seen as one of them, they don't respect you. Okay. They won't respect you. Or the ones that know that you shouldn't be, because they're like, you're the leader. You shouldn't be hanging out at the bar, with the people after work or whatever. Because if they see you cutting up at the bar, then they're like, they might laugh and kiki with you, but they're thinking in their mind, like, if I was a leader, I wouldn't do that, or they shouldn't be doing that. Like, just like the students or the children who see adults doing certain things and they're like, they're in charge. They shouldn't be doing that, you know? People might not tell you that, but they're thinking it, whether they tell you that or not. The ones who actually know that there should be a separateness and a set apartness and they understand that, they think like, why are they doing that? Like they shouldn't be doing that. Okay. So that's the part for the leader. Just felt like I need to add that. That's totally bonus to this video. Let's get back into the topic. So when it comes to picking our battles, it's going to help us keep a relationship. So I'll share just a very quick story. In some of my videos, I'll talk about somebody on a team that I call an influencer. And an influencer is basically an informal leader. So they're a person that is a leader, but they just don't have a leadership title, but they are a natural born leader. And people tend to look to them and follow them and all that kind of thing. So I did have an encounter a couple months back with someone who was an influencer because they wanted to do something which traditionally in every organization I have ever been in, they would not have allowed an employee to do that or a team member to do that. And this person wanted to do something that was an exception. And I was newer to this organization. So when they asked me, I went on, my previous experience and I'm like, no, like I said, I've led over 18 teams, right? I've led for more than 15 years. I've led over 18 teams and none of them would have been allowed to do this particular thing that this person was asking because that's normally not allowed in an organization. And so they wanted to do something. I told them no, they couldn't do it. And then they started to make a big deal about it, about the fact that they got told no. And to me, A, it wasn't that big of a deal. B, I did, however, remember that this person was an influencer. And I thought to myself, okay, A, I wouldn't allow this person to do this. B, nobody that led at any level above me in any other organization would allow them to do this. So like to try to bypass me, to go around me, typically they would have gotten their request denied as well. But I realized, I was like, okay, this person's an influencer, let me try to start to rebuild the relationship. Then the no still stands, and the opportunity had already passed. So what they wanted to do, they couldn't do anymore anyway. And so they were starting to kind of like focus in on it a lot. It's like when somebody starts to get entrenched in something in a negative thought, they were starting that process. And I was like, okay, now I'm going to have a bigger problem with this person if this person turns against me and because they have influence with the other people, and that's going to cause another problem for me. So what I did was I did talk to them and I explained to them why I told them no. And they were like, well, the person that's opened this organization would have said yes to me. And I said, well, I'm just telling you from any other organization I've ever been a part of, they would have said no. I said, now I am newer to this organization and this particular person wasn't on site at the time. So I was like, if they would have allowed you to do that, then I do apologize because everywhere else that I have ever been, we wouldn't allow that. So, I'll find out from the person if this is something that's allowed in the future, and then I can make adjustments accordingly. But I was like, hey, why don't we work on this particular project together? So I started to work to rebuild that relationship probably about within the same hour or so, because I was like, if me and this person are at odds, it's going to be tension for the whole group, And so I stood firm by my no, and I explained why my no was a no. And I worked on rebuilding that relationship. So picking my battles wisely. Because yes, could I have stuck by my guns because the industry standard is they would get a no? I absolutely could have. But then it was going to be a really rough goings for me and for the rest of the group moving forward if me and this other person didn't have a positive relationship. Now, depending on the severity of the situation, like this was a minor thing, so it wasn't really that big of a deal for me. But if this person had decided that they just were going to be rebellious and do their own thing, that's when I would handle it a bit differently. Okay. But in this case, it was something light. So I chose my battle wisely. So the third benefit of picking our battles wisely is it really helps us to grow and it helps us to learn more, right? And when we pick our battles wisely, we can avoid being stubborn, defensive, and closed-minded. So in that last example, I could have been closed-minded, but that was going to cause me more problems in the long run. So, so I was like, no, I'm not going to do that, right? And we can also avoid missing out on opportunities to learn or grow and improve ourselves. I said, okay, in this situation, I'm in a bit of a different environment. So maybe they allow certain things that I've never seen allowed in other contexts or in even other countries, right, that I worked in. Instead, we can enhance our growth and learning by being open and curious and humble. And we can also show that we are willing to listen, understand, and appreciate others' views and experiences. So we want to take other people into consideration. We don't want to always just think from our own perspective. And that is going to go a long way to help us to be better, well-rounded leaders and workers and coworkers. So now I want to know from you, how do you know when to pick a battle, when you should go ahead and stick to your I don't want to say stick to your, the saying, but when you should go, I'll say it this way, when you should stand 10 toes down on it, or when you should just walk away from a situation. How do you know when you need to take a stand or when you need to walk away and just let it go, right? Let me know in the comments. And also, if you feel like there's something else I should add to this list, let me know as well. Okay. I would love to hear from you. For the bonus, here is when you should stand by your convictions. Okay. Because there are some times when you're going to need to stand by your convictions. And this is one of those battles that you need to stick through. So if you find yourself in a toxic work environment, do not allow the bad habits and the bad advice that you will probably receive while you're working there influence you and cause you to make decisions that you are going to later regret. Some of the worst job advice that I have ever received was being in a toxic work environment. And in both of those toxic work environments, I had to and actually I've had probably more than two, but just like the whole environment was toxic. I've had two where I got some of the I won't even repeat on this video because it's just that bad. Like it's just that bad. And I'm like, no, I would be one of the places I was like, I can't work here anymore because I would be a terrible employee if I continue to work here. Like I'm not gonna do things that are unethical. Both of those environments, they both asked me to do unethical things and I wasn't willing to do that. One of them it was even beyond unethical. It was like, how do I say it? Let's just say that in both environments, violent activity occurred. And that was the norm, not the exception. And I'm like, I'm not going to, I'm not going to go to extreme measures in to because this is dysfunctional. This is dysfunctional and y'all are used to this dysfunction. And I'm not going to change my character to accommodate the dysfunction that's happening here. I will I'm not gonna become, like if you're a sane person and you're a healthy person and you get into a dysfunctional environment, you're like, oh my gosh, what is this? You know, and I wasn't gonna allow that to happen. Those are a couple of the times that I was like, no, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to yeah, I don't even like there's one that's on the tip of my tongue. I'm not gonna say it though. I'm not gonna say it. Maybe I'll put it. I don't even want to put it in the comments. Like maybe that'll be something I'll leave for like the private group or something like that. But anyway, I just want you to make sure that you do what's best for you, and I want you to be safe, and I want you to be happy, and I want you to make sure that you use your energy and your time and your words and your actions wisely. Okay. So thanks for watching this video. I hope that you found it helpful and interesting. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up. It's really going to help YouTube push this video out to other people who may need to see this. And if you are like, hey, this is information I want to share with someone else, go ahead and definitely share it with colleagues or friends or coworkers, family members, whatnot. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification to know when any of the new videos are coming out. Because I do love teaching. Like that is definitely one of my natural giftings. And I enjoy seeing people go and grow and do great things. Okay. With that being said, make it a great day. Make sure that you choose your battles wisely. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.